Hello and welcome to the week's Monday Movies show on the Tuesday. If you haven't been listening to the show so far, and this will make sense to anyone who hasn't in a moment, this is the second half of the show because during the first half of the show, during the first recording of the show, my web browser decided to crash. So of course everything went completely loopy and was gone. Fortunately, Spreaker, the great website that it is, had recorded and saved the rest of the show. So if you haven't been listening to the rest of the show and you want to know what happened with this week's cinema releases and the first half of the DVD and Blu-ray top 10, then go back and listen to that first. But we are now going to continue through the rest of the UK DVD and Blu-ray top 10 and to the home releases section. Just a reminder what we're covering in this half of the show, Stuart.
Solace, Everest, The Visit, Momentum, Camp X-Ray, Air, Last Shift.
Yep. Before that though, as we said, the box office top 10, running down quickly because we had got all the way through so far of them. At number 10 was 45 Years, at number 9 was The Theory of Everything, number 8 is Inside Out, number 7 is American Sniper, and number 6 is Kingsman: The Secret Service. So we'll skip over the two that are next because they are DVD exercise videos. Davina Week 5 Fit and Lorraine Living to the Max at 5 and 4. 3 new entries at the top spots, with number 3 Sherlock the Abominable Bride, which Stuart hasn't seen.
Nope.
No, and I've seen. If anyone's into Sherlock, I'm surprised you haven't seen it actually. I really liked it. It is an odd one because of the way it's done and everything, but it does link in with the rest of the series, so it's not one to go, I'll watch it later after I've watched others. Watch it and you'll see anyway. Number 2, new entry for No Escape,
which is your bog standard thriller. It's got a few little standout moments here and there, but it's Owen Wilson trying to protect his family from terrorists with the help of Pierce Brosnan, who crops up every now and again. Like I said, it doesn't know what it wants to be, but at times it's an interesting watch.
Which means the number 1 film new entry this week is Straight Outta Compton.
Yeah, a bit of a muddled, kind of messy film. It tries to have its whole cake and eat it by adding too many elements to it. There are parts of the film which would have worked much better if they just concentrated on that. Pretty much the Ice Cube sort of like Eazy-E, Dr. Dre element of it, that triangle there, would have been a much more interesting movie to watch rather than the 2.5 hours that was given to us. But that's not to say that there isn't anything to like in the film. The acting is fantastic, and it has got that genuine kind of look of the NWA. And so at least they actually got stuff like that right. It's just it could have been easily cut back and changed a little bit.
Yeah, it's definitely a film that I thought was far too long, and if you're not into the music and of the NWA and rap music, you may find yourself struggling to connect with the film, because I certainly did. Anyway, that is what's left of the UK box office top 10, so straight on to this week's releases because we've got a few to get through.
Considering it was the Blu-ray and DVD top 10. Solace. I know I like to point out mistakes, but you've said that twice now.
I would hit my head against the desk, but it's glass, and then I'd probably end up breaking something else.
Like Solace, then it's directed by Afonso Poyat, and it stars Anthony Hopkins, who plays... can you actually say he's got psychic powers? A
clairvoyant.
He sounds like an X-Men member.
He's a clairvoyant, shall we say?
Sort of. He's somebody who can supposedly look into the future. Spotty at times, but he can at least look into the future. And obviously, with that kind of power comes great risk. Oh, wrong kind of film.
Yeah.
With that kind of ability, he obviously is wanted by the FBI with help-wise. He's helped them out before, and he's reluctant to do it now. However, Jeffrey Dean Morgan, he's a person who's on a case to try and stop somebody who's got pretty much similar kind of abilities in a way. He's a killer who's going around killing people, but these kind of people who supposedly got something wrong with them, and he's putting them out of their misery because he doesn't want them to go through all the pain and anguish that comes with having things like cancer or anything like that. And so, with the help of Anthony Hopkins' character, Jeffrey Dean Morgan, and a person who's working with them, who's played by Abby Cornish, they're trying to stop this serial killer. Here's a clip.
Dr. Clancy, before we go upstairs, with all due respect, I don't hold an ounce of confidence in the paranormal as a field. As a whole, I think it's a sham. I hope that won't be a problem.
No problem at all. I feel the same about shrinks. After only one thing, your money. Give me a little finger, they'll take your whole hand.
Whoever said that has obviously never met a good one.
to Sigmund Freud.
There's a good one there.
Yeah, now, the film itself divided people. There were people who stuck up for the film, said it wasn't as bad as a lot of people made it.
Didn't stick up for the film.
I sort of stuck up for the film because they said I wasn't even actually aiming it towards you anyway.
Okay.
But there are people who stuck up for the film, saying it wasn't as bad as a lot of people were. Andrew Runnock being one of them. Better. And there were critics out there who slated the movie. Now I'm edging more towards the slating camp rather than the people who sort of like stood up for the film, because the film itself has got some glaring problems. The pacing, for once, is just, it's all over the place. It's a messy movie. It's a movie which is very childish as well. It's sort of like the director has come up with this feasible idea, an idea that might have worked for something like a Twilight Zone episode or an Outer Limits episode, not an entire movie. And he hasn't a clue what to do with it. He just hasn't a clue. He's sort of like looked at an actor who possibly could play somebody with these kind of abilities and went, Anthony Hopkins can play crazy at times. Why not? Why don't we get him? And then he's thinking, well, we need somebody to be sort of like his equal or better. Who could do that? Colin Farrell, why not? Why don't we just get him into the film? But we can only afford for him to be into the last little bit of the movie because we've spent all of our acting budget on Anthony Hopkins and at times Jeffrey Dean Morgan. So the film itself is very loose, it's very slack, it's just silly, it's very, very silly. There are elements of the movie which is sort of okay, but overall it's one of those throwaway, forget it kind of films.
I enjoyed it more than you did. I have had a thought though since having seen it, so I've seen it twice now, and I had a thought the second time seeing it. Do you think it would have worked better if Anthony Hopkins and Colin Farrell's roles had been reversed, if they had played the other roles?
I don't think it would have actually made the film any different, to be honest.
No.
It would have just... There is a scene sort of like reminiscent to Hannibal Lecter in there, and sort of would have just made him feel like Hannibal Lecter again. I don't think it would have worked in that front, but it doesn't work no matter which way you try to put it, because it's an intelligent idea, sort of, that the director just hasn't a clue how to handle it. Like I said, it probably would have worked for maybe like an X-Files episode or an episode that's like 45 minutes long, not a film that's on for nearly 2 hours.
Okay, on to Everest, which is the other kind of big DVD release this week, which is directed by Baltasar Komikor. It is a movie based on the true story of an expedition in the early 2000s, I think it was. I can't remember exactly what it was, but it's a true story centering around a group of climbers that obviously went to go up Everest to get to the top, and it's a whole thing of that. It centers around all these characters. Amongst them you have people like Josh Brolin in there. You have the leader of the group is a sort of an experienced climber played by Jason Clarke. They're all sort of together and arriving, and then starting at sort of they get to their base camp and all getting ready to go up there, and everything all seems fine. Of course, getting ready for that the night before, everyone's having the usual kind of, party evening, get ready sort of thing. Here's a clip.
Those of you who dare face their dreams, Venture Consultants offers something beyond the power of words to describe. And why don't we describe it in the brochure? Because it's mostly just pain.
Yes. Ain't that the truth?
Put it simply, guys, human beings simply aren't built to function at the cruising altitude of a 747. Okay, once we get above here, above the South Col, our bodies will be literally dying, and I mean literally dying. It's not called the death zone for nothing, guys. So the game is, can we get you up to the top and down to the bottom before that happens?
And it's not a spoiler to say because it's a true story and everything. Doesn't exactly kind of work out that way as they hope. It is a whole thing of these characters as they kind of go up there, one thing goes wrong leads to another things, and you see that there are problems that have happened that were maybe through to misunderstandings, miscommunications, that sort of thing happening, but it's all about the fact that it focuses on the characters and the people and in the situations when they find themselves stuck and things. I mean, there is a great scene where you have Jason Clarke's character stuck, and he's actually up there, and there's a big storm bit, and he's basically stuck there, and it's just him talking on the radio, and they're trying to put him through over the radio to his wife, who's back in Australia, played by Keira Knightley in a very, very small, underused role. The thing is, well, you have in here as well, mixed in, Jake Gyllenhaal makes an appearance in the film, again being very underused. I think I was kind of disappointed ultimately when his role didn't turn out to be as big as I wish it had. But the thing is that there are quite a lot of characters in here, but the thing is, even then, a lot of the characters kind of get left a bit to the side. Josh Brolin's character is this big guy who's kind of a big bravado kind of thing. He's been on Clones before, but is kind of a bit out of his element here and won't admit it. You have several other climbers there, including a woman in the group who is basically, unfortunately, criminally left kind of less developed, even though they're all based on real people that this happened to, and they went through, and some survived, some didn't, and the sort of the degree of the temperature they went through. But the thing that the film does get right is the feel of, first of all, being on the mountain. It's a great feeling that it gives you, the whole thing of first of all, the scale of it when you're there. The scale of it on there is it does come through on the screen. The sequence when they're going over a ravine, and they're walking across this ladder, and you have a bit of the ice falls off, big massive chunk of the ice falls off, and the scale of it there, and just the sense of that. And then when the bad weather comes in later on, you have that feeling. It does feel genuinely as if it's not on a set somewhere. It actually feels as if it's filmed out in, the remoteness of this mountain, and it's all very well handled and very well directed in that regard. So it is a good disaster movie, and it's a somewhat faithful to true events thing. Obviously there have been some embellishments made here and there, but it is an all-round interesting and worthy and enjoyable big sort of, not action, but big sort of disaster film.
It's a pity you couldn't have seen it the way I saw it.
In IMAX, yeah.
Not laser IMAX.
Yeah.
So it laser IMAX in Dolby Atmos as well. So I saw it on the biggest screen possible, within the biggest way you could possibly see it. The only laser IMAX screen in the UK at that. So
Leicester Square.
Yeah, it's at the Empire Leicester Square. It's impressive to see it on that scale. I saw it twice because that was the second time I saw it. I saw it in the Standard Cinema, the cinema in the city that I live in, and it was really engrossing then. But when you see it on a sort of like the biggest scale possible, because it has got that kind of feeling to it, there are a few scenes where you do sort of like get a few shakes a little bit. So the kind of thing that I was hoping to see in the Joseph Gordon-Levitt film, The Walk. Which I didn't feel, the sort of like the wobble when he's walking across the line across the two buildings.
Interesting.
I never felt that, but I did sort of like feel the height when Josh Brolin's character, for example, is traversing across a gap and he's walking along the sort of like makeshift bridge.
Yeah, the bit I was talking about. Yeah, that is a really kind of amazing clip. It's a thing as well. It's a film that does have a great sound mix as well, because you get this sense of the echoes and everything, and that. It's a great mix.
Like you do need to. I think you especially, because you are sort of like a sound aficionado in a way. You pick that out a lot more than a lot of people would normally do when they go into the cinema. You recognise the music scores and the undercurrent sounds and all that kind of stuff. Have you seen a film in Dolby Atmos yet?
I've seen The Force Awakens in Dolby Atmos.
And it does make that difference, doesn't it?
It's impressive. I mean, the thing is, it's just a thing of that is good for, because you have that degree. It's not just front, back, left, right, and around. You've got, there are speakers that are up above, and there are speakers that are at an angle to the sort of the corners. You have a full kind of grid surrounding you of sound. It's not just in those angles. So I mean, it doesn't have to be so mixed as well, but you can still get as good an effect on your simple 5.1, so your 5 channels and your bass. As long as it's mixed well, it doesn't really matter. But this is one that definitely the mix is good on it.
Well, the Dolby Atmos in it is amazing. It's absolutely amazing. It does that thing where you're looking around you a little bit and thinking, is it coming from here, or is it coming from there? So it has got that. It's a good film. It's a very good film. Like I said, I saw it twice, and I enjoyed it more the second time because I was pretty much pulled into it. I felt like I was on the mountains with them. Not that I would ever actually do that. The Visit, M. Night Shyamalan. Time to give him sort of like his dues a little bit, maybe. It centres around a brother and sister duo played by Olivia de Jong and Ed Oxenbould, Tyler and Becca. They have gone to visit their grandparents. Their mother wants to go away on a cruise with her boyfriend, spend some time with that. So she decides to say, why don't you go and spend the week with her parents? And so they spend it with Grandpa and Nana. Everything seems fine until strange noises happen during the middle of the night. They're told by the grandpa not to come out of the bedroom on a night time because Nana has a tendency to walk around, sleepwalk. However, they discover it's more than that. She starts to act very insanely. There are scenes where she's completely stalkers and she's trying to climb up a wall on a night time. A clip which we're going to play, but I'm not going to play it because it's a bit pointless. She's actually sitting laughing, rocking backwards and forwards in a rocking chair just staring at a wall. There's also a part where they're playing hide and seek and she's chasing after them under the house. And this is an old woman. But things get even more insane. Now, the film itself is terrible. It's awful. Because we're...
Just wasn't expecting that, the way you were talking about it.
Yeah, the way M. Night Shyamalan actually directs it is he hasn't a clue if it's a horror film, if it's a chiller film, if it's a comedy. He doesn't know how to mix it together at all. Scenes where you're supposed to be scared, you're laughing. Scenes where you're supposed to be laughing, you're questioning why there is a comic bit there. And Ed Oxenbould, you just want to smack him across the face with the camera that his sister is actually using. Because you just want to tell him to shut up and stop beatboxing or rapping. Because it's one of those things, he has a quirk, where if you give him a subject, he's able to rap about it. And it's maybe fine the first time, not the 10th time when he's rapping about grass, or when he's rapping about chicken salads. You don't care about raps about chicken salad. You try to watch a horror film where you're meant to feel tension, you're meant to feel jumps, not you're meant to laugh, and you're meant to go, what? So it's just badly implemented, badly constructed. M. Night Shyamalan is now tackling the Tales from the Crypt Keeper series. He's going to destroy that. Everything that he touches turns to hell, and he tries to add twists to it to make it feel better. No, it doesn't. It's like trying to give a kid who's got a toothache sugar. It's just silly. It's a stupid thing to do. So yeah, it's an awful film. Avoid it.
Okay, Momentum, which is directed by Stephen Campanelli. This is the film that was released in the UK cinemas in very, very limited release and took only something like £45. And so completely and utterly flopped. Didn't do much better, I think, in America, where it went largely straight to video on demand. It centres around the character of Alex, played by Olga Kurylenko. At the start of the film, we see her and several other people are in a bank heist. They're all wearing masks and their voices are disguised and everything. There's a sort of dispute between the gang as they make away with their theft of stuff from a safe. A shootout involves that she kills one of the others and she's injured, and her mask is taken off and uncovers her identity to the hostages. She then kind of has to go on the run with them, but someone else is hunting them down because they stole something else in the safe, and the person wants that. And it's all connected back to a senator in the US who's played by Morgan Freeman in literally 3 scenes over the phone. While she's being chased by a group led by James Purefoy's character. And the thing is, I saw this because you saw it and you really...
I haven't seen it.
Have you not seen it? We were talking about it and it said it's one of these things that looks absolutely terrible because we've seen the trailer and stuff for it. We were talking about it and stuff. And the thing is, it's better than a lot of the produced by Luc Besson things. You know, those kind of things that we see quite a lot of?
Yeah.
Yep, it's actually better than them, majority of them. And it's not a bad film. It has a couple of actual decent action sequences that I thought were quite cleverly handled, and Olga Kurylenko is actually not bad in it and has a decent job of, you know, doing kind of an action heroine thing. Morgan Freeman is literally just there for the paycheck, and has a cameo basically in a few scenes, and it's always done over the phone, so he's never actually there. They must have had, it's almost like they went and filmed it all and then they went, okay, we filmed all these scenes and there's someone speaking to someone on the phone. Who can we get to play that person on the phone? After they've done everything, we've got this much left in the budget, let's just pay someone big actor to do it and get him on and literally film 3 scenes with him in a room, and that's it. It's that kind of a thing that's kind of deplorable just to get a big name on it. But it does deserve to have done a little bit better than £45 in the cinema. So I kind of feel sorry for it, but it's not a brilliant film. It is trying to set up a franchise from the ending of it, which is not going to happen now. But I mean, you could do worse than see this if you want to see, kind of like the last Transporter film. It's way better than that kind of stuff. It's just it's unfortunate that things that are actually fairly decent generally get a bad release.
Yeah, I think it beat out the Danny Dyer film.
Yeah, it deserves that at least, but it's not really saying much.
Yeah,
Stuart on the other show will probably have a go at me for saying that now.
Yeah, I want to find out what's the worst film ever taken at the UK box office. It'll be interesting to find out.
And if there's a top 10 list of them, Danny Dyer's films are probably on there, half of them.
Momentum took £46.
£46, yeah, so it wasn't far off.
In its overall run, whether I'm going down, Deviation took £95, which is a Danny Dyer film, in its overall run. Dark Tide took £97. There's a film here called Mr. Nikifor, which took £7.
£7, never heard of it.
And then a movie called The Chum Scrubber, 36, and then Motherhood, the Uma Thurman film, that took £88. So they're the worst three taking films of all time at the UK box office. It's ridiculous, that, isn't it?
Yeah.
So it's number 10.
And it deserves better. It does deserve better.
Camp X-Ray then, directed by Peter Satir. It's a very simple film. It's set in Guantanamo Bay, and it centers around a young soldier played by Kristen Stewart, who is sort of like tasked to work at Guantanamo Bay to pretty much look after the prisoners there. She is there to look over them. She wanders around this corridor with the help of somebody else, checking the rooms, the cells, in shifts. Every couple of hours they change the shifts. During the time when she's there, she befriends a character called Ali, played by Payman Moad, and at first he gets majorly on her nerves, constantly berating her, sort of like blaming her for all the kind of things that Americans do, the kind of things that Muslims in Americas, they're still having fights over today, the way they act against each other, blaming each other for the atrocities that are happening in the world, when in fact they should be blaming themselves, because it's their own problems. And so it is that give and take. However, she starts to latch onto him a little bit more when things around Guantanamo Bay are not going right for her, when in fact colleagues who she thought were friends will in fact turn out to be pretty much enemies. There's a prime scene which involves another soldier who makes a go against her during a party, and she sort of like pushes him away, and then he ends off like treating her really badly throughout the film. And so our only sort of like relief is this friendship with this other character. And so the film itself is very well acted by Kristen Stewart. Again, it's another one of those movies where it was released in the US very early last year. We've only just got it now on their DVD. It didn't do well at all at the US box office. It didn't even scrape past, I think, $10,000 at the US box office. So it slipped under the radar, which is a shame, because Kristen Stewart showed that she could act in 2015. She was in a few very good films, Still Alice being one of them, and also The Clouds of Sils Maria alongside Juliette Binoche. I think she was fantastic in both of them, but very supporting roles. So it was interesting to see if she was able to actually handle a movie in a lead acting role away from Twilight early years, and she can. She's actually showed depth to her acting and expanded her role a little bit more. At times it made me sort of like it felt like a lot like Jarhead at times, with Jake Gyllenhaal's character in that, but that's a much more expansive film. This is a more closed, more claustrophobic film in a way. So acting wise, it's really well told. It didn't need to be as long as it was. There are scenes in the film which go on way too long. There is a corridor scene where the camera is fixated on this corridor and nothing happens for a good minute. And there are scenes in the film where that's the case, and it starts to drag its feet a lot closer to the end of the movie. It feels like the director is just pushing the movie a bit too far. It could have just easily been a 90-minute film when in fact it's a 2-hour movie. But there is things to like about it, especially Kristen Stewart.
I agree. I actually think she's very good in it as well. I think it is very competently handled, but I did also think as well that I don't know who his name is, but the man who played the prisoner that she was. Yeah, he's absolutely good in it. So he's absolutely brilliant as well. It's the first time I've seen him in anything that I recognised him, and I really think he's worth sort of keeping an eye out for as well, because he's very, very good in the film and very kind of humanising for someone in that situation. Is a very difficult thing to do, I think.
Yeah, it's a hard character to play.
Yeah.
But both of them actually are really hard characters to play, but I think they both played them brilliantly. Very well.
Air, which is directed by Christian Cantamessa, I think it's pronounced. It's a small indie film that was, I don't know the budget, but it's not a big budget film. It's kind of one of these things that's made on, you can tell it's limited budget just because of the fact it's a single set sort of thing. It's very closed off. It's following these two characters played by Norman Reedus and Jaman Hunso, who play these two guys, Bauer and Cartwright, who wake up out of a kind of a, I don't know if it's suspended animation, but kind of more of just like a long sleep chamber thing to keep them in a suspended state so that they don't breathe all the air that is in kind of their supply. The reason for this is that the world at some point has had a cataclysmic war. There's been a sort of toxins that have been released, and the air on the surface is unbreathable. They are in a kind of a old missile silo kind of base, which has been essentially sealed like a big sort of vacuum bag. It has them and hundreds of other people are in kind of a suspended sleep chamber thing situation, and they are sort of woken up to do maintenance and everything, make sure everything's working, check everything, and then they're given 2 hours of air, after which then the air is cut off, power is cut off, and they have to be back in their sleep chambers. Problem is that when they are awake and doing things, there's a fire. One of the chambers is destroyed, leaving them with the situation of what they're going to do to survive, because obviously they're at that point have an hour and a half of air left. Only one of them can survive anything, and there's all these other people that are there waiting on them, obviously, for when supposedly the air will be healthy enough that people can then go back out. It's actually a fairly solid film. The problem is it is only an hour and a half long, but it towards the end starts to feel as if it's making up things just to keep the time running and keep it going longer. It is kind of about a 70-minute film, and just sort of 20 minutes of stuff which could have been taken out or redone a different way or something good. It just feels as if it's struggling to have enough material to make up a film length, because you have this whole thing of the Cartwright is having hallucinations of his wife, and she's talking to him and stuff while this is all going on, and you have the character of Bao, who's obsessed and is starting becoming paranoid about Cartwright, thinking that Cartwright is trying to kill him and stuff. And it's okay. It starts off well, but it does kind of lose its track towards the end. But it's I mean, I watched the end of it, I came out and I went, you know what, I enjoyed it, but I would have gone a different way for sort of the last half hour.
I've not seen it. You were trying to make me watch it.
I think you'd like it, because it is one of these kind of small things and simplistic things. I do think though that it's because it's not a horror, but it has that kind of horror elements to it when it's like there's scenes that are filmed in darkness and trying to figure out things and that stuff going on. So it's got a kind of a tension to it.
Okay. Final film. This is a horror. Last Shift, in multiple ways than one. Directed by Anthony de Blasi. It centres around a police officer who is sent to guard this police station that is becoming abandoned. They've moved the officers from the location where she's attached to now to somewhere else. So it's the final night of this police station. She's told there's going to be very little action there, if none. All she's there to do is to just look after it, so there aren't like homeless people, or just in case there is a phone call for her to answer it. And so the night seems to be going fine. She does get the typical homeless guy who walks in off the streets and pees in the main area in the reception and then walks back out again. However, he seems to crop up every now and again. There's a scene where it's in sort of like he's managed to get into a really heavily secured room, and he's jumping around and dancing on top of filing cabinets and stuff, which is very strange. And then he's sort of like acting like a cat and then runs away. And then she speaks to the stripper outside of the police station. However, on the undercurrent, there are evil, gribbly things lurking around, because supposedly this cult, the women in this cult, killed themselves because of this guy who was sort of like a Manson-esque character, persuaded them to do that so they can resurrect the devil. I'm guessing that description that I've just said to there is about as messy as a bag of dolly mixtures. Cause
I have no idea what's going on.
I had more idea with what was going on in detention when you had the time-travelling bear than you had in this movie. Because a bag of dolly mixtures, I would have gladly stared at that for 90 minutes than having to sit through this film. It's terrible. It's we try to bring like the worst film of the week in a way, and unfortunately I'm normally the one who's lumbered with it.
You're normally the one who will agree to go and watch it, that's why.
It's because it's a horror film, and so with us doing a horror podcast, I have to sort of try to watch a quarter of horror films a month. And unfortunately, I have just bad taste in picking them. Because every now and again I might find a good one, but more times out of 10, I find an absolute stinker.
And I just know better.
Yeah, you should be glad that you don't like horror movies that much, because at least you don't have to sit down and watch these awful, awful films. It's the only good thing I can see about it is that the creature designs are fine.
Fine?
It looks like
Fine?
Fine.
Are you Australian now?
It's not like he's gone out and gone to like a trick-or-treat store and like stole a few masks and went, stick them on. You'd be scary with them. At least he's actually tried to give them a little bit of makeup and some movements where it's got a resemblance of something creepy, rather than somebody who's got like cramp in their legs or something like that. So overall, it's just an awful, awful film. It's just avoid it. If you want to watch a creepy movie that's set in an abandoned police station or a mental asylum, watch Grave Encounters. It has problems, but at least that's tolerable compared to this.
Okay. Well, that's it for this week's show. Interesting end note there. But we'll go through, as we said, normally TV movies of the week. We're just going to do our shout outs as we usually do. You have followingthenerd.com, and also from page 2, the number 2, screen.com as well, who are doing their shows each, so you'll be able to check out their websites and find out the full details on those. Our website is also available, mondaymovieshow.co.uk. We're on Twitter at Monday Movie Show. Stuart's on there at Cryptic Tadpole. I'm on there at AHDVD. And you can also find us on Facebook at facebook.com/Monday Movie Show.
Can I add a couple of things before we go on to the last thing?
Okay.
The video game news show that I'm doing, you'll find it on the Monday Movie Show stream at the moment. It's called Following the Gamer. Episode 0 came out. It's a bit sort of like ropey. I don't mind admitting to that. It's slightly
is it ropey enough that it breaks halfway through it and has to start again?
No, it's not that bad because I'm actually good at my job.
Yeah, that was harsh.
That might actually change once you get used to using the new Spreaker tools. I think everything will be much more safer then. But it's quite ropey because a couple of the people who were involved, Shane and Jerry, they have not done this kind of thing before. Jerry has done a show with me before when we did a video game E3 special, but Shane has never done a podcast, never mind a live show. So it's like throwing him into the deep end. So it was just a tester episode. You can find on the feed itself. It is going to be a once a fortnight show. It's not going to be one of those shows where it's tied down to a specific date. You'll get information on my Twitter feed and on Facebook when the next episode is. I also want to point out, it's sort of like off topic majorly, but a friend of mine, he's got a fitness thing in Wales.
No, we skipped the DVD fitness things.
No, I know, but I've got to give him a shout out to it. It's Jay. Go on to Facebook, look for a place called JB Fitness. He's in Swansea. If you're looking for somebody, a trainer in that front, he is the guy who we used to support their charity. So he was the one who was the head of the Serum Foundation. And so just go out and check if you need some help with trying to lose some weight or trying to get into better shape. Then he's the best person to go with. JB Fitness on Facebook.
Okay, before we go, TV movies of the week.
I've only got one.
Go on. Is it the same one as me, Saturday 23rd?
No.
Okay, well, because I'm going to mention as well, it's not my TV movie of the week, but it's worth mentioning, I think, tomorrow night, Wednesday the 20th, Hitchcock is on Film 4 at 9 o'clock, and afterwards is followed by Psycho at 10:55. So that's a good sort of double bill there of a drama about Hitchcock and then what people consider his finest film, I think. And then my TV movie of the week is on Saturday, Channel 4. That Saturday 23rd at 9 o'clock is the premiere of Oblivion.
I knew you would go for that one, that's why I didn't.
I really love the film, and you love the soundtrack as well, and it's a good film.
Yeah, I love the soundtrack, but I have problems with the film.
You have problems with every film, though.
I know I do, but, well, Room I didn't. Yeah, but my TV movie of the week is a film I didn't...
Foreshadowing.
I don't care. Something I liked. But my TV movie of the week is a movie that I saw at an age when I shouldn't have, and I snuck into the cinema while I was actually allowed into the cinema.
Poltergeist?
No. I would have only been 2 when Poltergeist came out. I don't think my cinema would have let
parent and child. Can you imagine a parent and child screening for Poltergeist?
Possibly. But, yeah, I knew the owner of the cinema. It was only a 2-screen cinema as well, and I knew the owner, and they let me in to watch it. It's on ITV4 on Sunday the 24th at 10:11. It's Sleepers.
Oh, wow! That is a dark film to see as a kid.
Yeah, I was 16 when I went to see it. 16,
no, that's
17.
not so young as I was thinking you mean.
I know, but the film itself is an 18.
Yeah.
And it is still pretty brutal. My first ever 18-rated film was Event Horizon that I seen in the cinema, and I was 15, and I was allowed in to see it still. Sure.
Mine was 7.
Shows you what kind of manager. That was the first film I saw 18-rated film at the cinema. Was Event Horizon. Mm-hmm. But yeah, Sleepers. It is a grueling film. It's a very, very grueling film. It's a tough watch at times. It's quite long as well. So 10:11 is a bit of a push, especially on a Sunday night to watch it, considering that a lot of people have work the next day. But yeah, definitely sit through it because it's definitely worth a watch.
Okay, so this is the part of the show where we do say our movie of the week, which I think Stuart already has kind of given us away.
Room.
Yeah, same with me as well. Room has just been a phenomenal surprise. I was not expecting it. I was thinking I was probably going to come into the show and think it would be Revenant, but Room did completely blow me away. So that's it for this week. We hope you've enjoyed listening to both parts, hopefully. We hope you're back next week and have a normal show without any problems, any breakups or anything. We'll confirm which day, possibly on the Monday, but check out mondaymovieshow.co.uk for an update when we know that for sure. You'll see that. And we will see you then, where we'll be reviewing, among other things, a movie called The Big Short, which is, if you remember, a film called Margin Call about the whole economic collapse, everything that went on with that. This is a similar thing, but actually, well, oddly more technical and comical at times, but with a great cast including Steve Carell, Christian Bale and Ryan Gosling. So next week we'll be reviewing that. We will see you then. Bye.
He has so many numbers, and I always forget which one he prefers because he's very specific. I don't know if it's the first one.
Just try it.
Okay. Okay.
Ben Rickard.
Hey, Ben, it's Jamie.
Jamie, you know you're not supposed to use this line.
Told you. Okay, let's try number 2 out of 14.
Ben Rickard.
Ben, why do you do that, man? I mean, you're a retired trader, okay? No one is listening to your calls.
The NSA has $52 billion budget and the ability to monitor
Tens of million calls a second. You think they're not using it?
I promise I will refrain from saying Ben Rickard and Dirty Bomb in the same sentence.